As we move into storm season, here's something most homeowners don't realize after a storm. Roof damage isn't always obvious. Wind can lift shingles, breaking the seal. Hail can bruise them below, and flashing around chimneys and pipes can loosen without you ever knowing. That damage may not show up for months. If your area has strong wind or hail, a professional inspection will help bring you clarity before small damage turns into bigger problems.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lompong. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather at 5 here, as you can see above my shoulder, from Amory. Amory now opening up their new baseball and softball facilities in the wake of the 2023 tornado. It's been a long reconstruction process, very well planned out, but showing those off to the public here as they get ready to start off the seasons for both baseball and softball. Independent facilities for both the baseball and softball, and we'll talk more to the superintendent of schools here coming up in just a couple of minutes. But I got to swing this around, talk a little weather here for a moment. Of course, we'll get into your weather, but look at that sunset back there. Isn't that spectacular? Beautiful evening already taking shape out there. And so as we look at your forecast again over the course of the next few little bit here, we're going to look exclusively at Storm Finder, looking toward the weekend forecast, and in particular whether or not we're going to again have some stronger thunderstorms that could move into the area. Not an impossibility, but we're hoping to be more the exception of the rule. We'll also look at triple threat. I think Storm Finder, again, one of the things we use to kind of hone in on whether or not storms are even possible. And then the triple threat on what different possibilities there are, whether we're talking wind, tornadoes, or hail, or hopefully none of the above. But we'll look at that coming up here in a couple of minutes. And Gabe's going to join us again also with some electric info. Mr. Maynor, always with the pun. You know, all right? He's going to be talking to us about lightning and have some good info as far as that is concerned as well. So you can see behind me here, we're in the baseball stadium here at Amory, and we'll talk more again about that in a couple of minutes. But the thing we know we're not going to see, no baseball size hail, anything like that out of this storm system. It's going to be a hail producer back for locations in Texas, back in Louisiana. But hopefully by the time it gets here, weakening substantially more. I think some wind gusts are going to be a factor, in particular late Saturday night, early part of Sunday as the first kind of main wave comes through the area, and then some gusty winds behind that. All those little hanging branches left over from the ice storm, we're going to have some problems with those. This is not, again, a high-end severe weather threat, but it is our first one since the ice storm, so things are going to fall. Flooding a possibility in maybe some isolated locations. But as you can see, the primary threat for active and severe weather is mainly going to be back toward the south and west. This is at risk for Saturday. And while this says Saturday for the locations in Greenville, closer to Jackson, this is really pre-dawn Sunday morning, maybe as early as 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning or as late as 6 a.m. And I do expect that some of this will be extended deeper into our area as confidence increases. But I think mostly central South Mississippi remain the bullseye zone for this storm system. Over the first 12 for tonight, as we alluded to a minute ago, it is a beautiful evening. It is a little bit cool as temperatures coming in the 50s at this point in time and dropping our way back into the 40s and 30s by later on tonight. Not quite as cold as we were for this morning as we look toward tonight. So here's a look again at those temperatures around the region. In the neighborhood of the lower 50s in Iuka at about 51 degrees, 54 right now in Corinth. It's 55 here in the Amory area, 52 Oxford. And in the low 60s still, Belzona at 64 and 62 there in Kosciuszko. Mama Justice Doppler radar, again, no precipitation out there. We are dry. We are clear at this point in time and likely stay that way again well into tonight. We're going to go much, much wider on our shot here. Look across the United States. You'll notice the eastern part of the United States, again, dominated by that high pressure center, the drier air that has kind of swooped into the area. But as we look back toward the west coast, this is the main bogey, our main storm system we're looking at here. Those two L's that you see back out there toward Los Angeles and the one also toward the Baja of California. What those are going to do is that's going to take, as part of the jet stream, that one in particular close to San Francisco is going to kind of work its way eastward and come pretty close to right over top of us. And I think that combination is going to bring us again where we're going to have some thunderstorms, but we're hopeful that the timing just is not going to work out well as far as strong storms are concerned. Again, not an impossibility, but at least that is our hope based on what we're looking at now. So we bring it much, much closer right back on in here for our future cast tonight. Again, only a few high, thin clouds out there, no precipitation. North winds remain relatively light. Notice how they start shifting a little bit more easterly. And again, that's one of the things that as that eventually goes east and then eventually more toward the southeast, that's when we're going to eventually start to see more in the way of lower level moisture starts arriving. But not much for tonight as it's only really high and thin clouds. So over the course of the next 24, we're 38 at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, 63 as we head toward noontime, and 66 in the afternoon. Our 30-year average, our normal for this time of year, should be in the upper 50s. So again, running above that for tomorrow as we are dry on your Friday. And many of us still fairly dry on Saturday. The question really comes around just how sensitive your Valentine's Day plans are to rainfall. Extra sensitive people, we could have some showers out there of issues, but I think thankfully we're not talking about severe weather on Saturday. It's probably more early Sunday morning before that chance shows up. And certainly Sunday is the more likely day for us to have a lot of rainfall chances. We're looking at Storm Finder, the triple threat, and we're going to talk to the superintendent of schools here at the Amory School District about this beautiful facility and what it took to make it happen as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Save today at Room to Room's President's Day sale. 55% off furniture and mattresses, 20% off accessories, and 24-month special financing. The time to act is now.
Room to Room Tupelo, where we know there's no place like your home.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
The bravest thing that my dad has done has been going back to school.
It wasn't when he first enlisted, it was when he found his first support group.
The bravest thing she did is when she asked for help.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovehon.
Well, we are live here in Amory this evening. I want to bring in Brian Jones, the superintendent of schools here at Amory School District. And man, this facility rivals some of the, is better than some of the community colleges we have, it's incredible.
It's incredible. Incredible is all I can say. It's we're so proud of this. This community came together, and it's been 2.5 years since we've played ball here, and we're so happy to get a game Monday night. So excited,
Yeah, absolutely. And I had to come off of my earpieces, so I apologize if there's a little extra music there in the background as well. I think one of the things that's so impressive about this, in my opinion, is you have the completely separate facility for the boys and girls, for softball and baseball. We're talking just the weight room for any individual sport be incredible, but for softball and baseball, each have their own independent weight rooms. It's just, to me, one of the safety shows how well thought out this was.
Yeah, we had a lot of planning going on, and everything. We used to, our softball and baseball used to be together in the weight room. It was so hard trying to get them time-wise. So we thought, if we're going to rebuild this, let's rebuild this the right way. Let's get them to both their own weight room. So we're excited about that.
So what are you most proud of?
That it's finally done. It's been a lot of long hours and hard work and going back to the drawing table and trying to look for the future when we built this, because we hope this to be here forever, and it's just excited that it's done.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, beautiful feeling, and thank you for inviting us.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Okay. Hey, Gabe, I'm sending it back to you. We're going to go, I think, hopefully down there and take a look on the field the next block. But obviously, watching storm chances over the course of this upcoming weekend, I know that's one of the things you're focused on here in the Room to Room Weather Center. In particular, that storm finder and triple threat to kind of assess whether or not these storms are looking at strong.
Well, Matt, that facility is absolutely phenomenal, and excited that we got to get out there and see it for ourselves. And I know that you're going to be there just oohing and awing all night long. It looks fantastic here from the Room to Room Weather Center. I want to take a look at that sunset that you were looking at just a moment ago, because Well, hang on. I might have to go back a couple of graphics for it because it was absolutely stellar there in Amory. Yeah, there's a look at the fiery sky. 55 degrees. Beautiful sights out there. So if you're in Amory viewing the baseball stadium or the softball stadium, turn around and you'll be seeing a great sunset as well. 55 degrees though, so still those mild temperatures. And we carry it a little bit more towards the northwest. And here in Tupelo, we're 54 degrees as well. So slightly milder than where we sat this time yesterday. And that's just a sign of some of those warmer temperatures heading into the weekend. Big thank you to the folks of Mitchell Cunningham and Bowling for providing us a look there in Tupelo. Very grateful to partner with them and very grateful to partner with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers that are actually giving us a look in that camera. Starkville, 55 degrees. Going to be a busy day at the Dude tomorrow as baseball stadium, I almost said tips off again. The first pitch of baseball season is thrown on your Friday evening there in Starkville. And Oxford, same way. They're going to be having those baseball games. I'm going to say tip off so many times. I'm sorry, I'm still in basketball mode. Throw that first pitch at 4 p.m. on your Friday. If we look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar, not tracking anything as of now, just going to be those dry conditions overhead. But if we expand things out, we can see more of that system starting to develop out there towards the southwest part of the United States. Primarily just some scattered rainfall, but becoming more impressive as we get over the next 24 hours and into our Friday. That's why the folks at the Storm Prediction Center did put this level 1 threat out there for parts of Lubbock, Odessa, Abilene, and around Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Now, this threat primarily going to be for some of those large hailstones. That's not going to be our story as it moves into North Mississippi. Not saying hail's impossible, but out west, Matt has talked about it. You know, his time in Lubbock, it's been more hail than anything whenever that severe weather threat rolls in, especially that's similar to a pattern that we're going to have this weekend. As we move more into Saturday, that system gradually works its way east. And what you're taking a look at here is that level 1 threat carrying over towards southern Arkansas, Louisiana, and southwest Mississippi. A big reason of where this is depicted is where that warm sector sets up. And as you can see, that line right there from Oklahoma City into Jackson, Mississippi, that line is going to be one to pay attention to as we get into our Saturday night and potentially our Sunday morning because it could extend a little bit more towards the north and potentially a little bit more towards the east as we get more into our Sunday morning. But for tonight, calm conditions, so beautiful forecast for looking at any of the new stadiums there in Amory or just getting some of those Thursday evening plans done. 49 degrees by 8, 46 by 10, and 43 by midnight. Not bad temperature-wise either, so we're shaping up to have a good Thursday evening and heading into our Friday strong. It is officially just moments away from Friday. I know we're saying yay about that. And we're also saying yay about this forecast. Let's keep it going into those overnight hours. And as you can see, dry conditions continue to build into North Mississippi. And that big reason why is because of that high pressure center that remains overhead here in the northern part of the Magnolia State. Now, as we get more into that forecast, we will gradually see, and I'm just navigating some things behind the scenes here real quick. We will gradually see those winds shift from a northerly flow into an easterly flow, and that easterly flow is what's allowing that pattern shift here in North Mississippi. And as that shift happens, temperatures will gradually warm up and that moisture will resupply itself into the North Mississippi area. So while I try and get this up, let me make sure that we can get this behind the scenes. I might have just disconnected from this. Hang on one second. Let me make sure behind the scenes what's going on. But yeah, so futurecast into those overnight hours. There we go. Yeah, things were happening, but things are not happening anymore. We are good. Okay, into those overnight hours. Here's a look at those winds primarily going to be out of the east and allowing us to get those dry conditions once again. But this is what's providing us a little bit of a subtle change in our temperature forecast, and that's going to really play a big part in our Friday morning and Friday afternoon temperatures as well. Low temperatures 38 New Albany, Tupelo 39 there in Amory, 38 Starkville, and same thing out there towards Oxford. So a cold start to the day, but luckily once that first pitch is thrown, our temperatures are going to be much better. But our school day forecast is enough to have a jacket heading out the door in those early hours as we are 39 degrees, but by lunch, upper 50s, might be able to shed that extra layer, and we're going to be enjoying warmer conditions by the afternoon with 65 degrees as our high temperature. Sunshine should be abundant all day long, so no notes with this forecast. It's shaping up to be a great end to the work week. Now, one note that we were talking about all week long is the potential for maybe some moisture working its way into North Mississippi on your Friday. Well, that whole system has trended a little bit slower, and that's why we're getting those chances primarily more towards our Saturday and really, all things considered, our Sunday. So our Friday remaining mostly dry. A lot of this cloud cover going to be those thin cirrus clouds, and that's not going to do anything to our forecast whatsoever. It's allowing that sunshine to get through and not going to have any rainfall attached to it either. So we don't have any notes with this forecast. It's going to be good to go from start to finish. And if anything, it just gets better as the day goes on because that warmer air builds in as a result. So as we keep that moving into those evening hours, we do expect that the baseball games will be good to go, and so will our Mississippi Live game of the week. We'll see that forecast here in just a moment. But let's first look at those temperatures as we are in the mid-60s Corinth, Boonville, New Albany, and even around Tupelo, upper 60s Eupora, Starkville, and Columbus, 70 showing up in Kosciuszko, Greenwood, and Belzona. So folks, spring just, I guess, can't get enough of North Mississippi, and we're not complaining at all. If anything, like I said, we deserve this warm weather after the last couple of weeks we've experienced. Our game of the week is going to be in Ellistown. I know my family, they are urchins, so excited to get out there and see some family and friends out there in Union County. That tip-off going to be 55 degrees, 52 by halftime, and 50 around that final buzzer, so a very mild pattern, and we are expecting it to remain dry throughout the duration of the game. So if you're inside at the basketball game or outside at the baseball games, you're shaping up to have a good forecast. Now you might be wondering, Gabe, why are there no teams on the screen? They're playing right now, and whoever wins those games tonight is who will play in our game of the week tomorrow. So that's why you need to pay attention to the socials, and we will get those votes up as soon as possible so you guys can make your votes and make your nominations for who you want as our Spirit Squad of the week and our fan section of the week. Friday night stays on the drier side like we just mentioned a moment ago, but that moisture does gradually build back into the forecast. If you look at these winds, we're starting to get more of a southeast flow, and that's what's building back the moisture here to North Mississippi. So once we get more to the Saturday early morning hours, 3, 4, 5 a.m., you can see these scattered showers already starting to build in, but you're on the lower end of our rainfall legend up there, meaning a lot of this light to moderate in impacts, and as we get through the day, that will gradually increase in those impacts, but that's just how they'll start out and really remain scattered even into those early morning hours. So if you have any Saturday plans, you may want to have that umbrella just in case. There will be windows of dry opportunity, but that doesn't mean we're out of the realm of rain forever. It will be in the forecast at one point or another. Low temperatures for the start of our Saturday. Again, much more mild than where we were today and much more mild than where we'll be for our Friday, with 45 in Tupelo, Amory, 46 Columbus, 42 Hamilton and Vernon, Alabama, 53 Greenwood, 52 Cleveland, and 54 around parts of Belzona. As we work our way through our Saturday, though, this moisture will stick around, but no strong storms are expected. Now, I mean, honestly, I'll be shocked if I hear a rumble of thunder out of this initial batch of moisture. But as we get more towards the afternoon and some of that instability builds into North Mississippi, and honestly, if we have less showers than what it's depicting on Futurecast right now, I do think some of that instability will increase, and that could potentially result in some of those stronger storms on the back end of the day. But stronger storms is a term that we're going to use a little bit loose here because we're not talking necessarily severe weather, but some of those storms can still be impactful, as Matt was talking about, with those gusty winds and the branches that are already broken or knocked off. You know, it doesn't take but 30, 40 mile an hour winds to knock those branches down, and that can do damage to homes or any roofs that we have that are underneath those trees and branches as a result. So Saturday, as you can see, 6 p.m., still a large part of that moisture well up there towards the north into Tennessee, but we are getting some of that scattered development towards the south. This is again going to destabilize that environment and keep that moisture around as we get into our Saturday night and carrying over into our Sunday morning as that line crosses the Mississippi River and moves into North Mississippi overnight. Now, we'll take a look at this in more detail here on Storm Finder and our triple threat in just a moment, but just going ahead and letting you know that's the time frame we expect, and that's been pretty consistent the past 24 hours. High temperatures: 68 New Albany, 71 Houston, 71 Water Valley, 74 Greenwood, Grenada, and Kosciuszko, and 72 Louisville, Starkville, and Macon. So if these were our temperatures and it was a sunny forecast, that's as perfect as you can get. Unfortunately, it's going to be this warm air on top of some scattered showers that we have to deal with, so we want to make sure to prepare accordingly. As we look at Storm Finder, again, a Mississippi Live exclusive, we're going to track out our weekend. And as we get more into our Saturday morning, we're tracking some of that moisture in the forecast. A lot of that not going to have any lift to it, meaning storms aren't exactly expected during that first round on our Saturday. As we get more towards the afternoon, not impossible to hear maybe a rumble of thunder, but I'm still not sold on those storm chances. As we get more into 6 p.m., you get some of these brighter returns right there. It basically means a few lightning strikes are possible, and that's where you get that storm potential as well. We also have that a little bit of a purple hue out there towards the Mississippi River. So while it is low, it is still possible for some of that thunderstorm activity to build into North Mississippi. By midnight, there you're getting that line crossing the river. And again, those yellows are indicative of that lift in the atmosphere and allowing for these thunderstorms to mature in a little bit more detail. And that's where we cross the river and not going to be surprised at all to hear a few rumbles of thunder. By 3 a.m., right over the top of I-55 and working its way east as we go over those overnight hours. By 6 a.m., though, look at the difference between what it was at 3 a.m. We were talking about some of those yellows and oranges popping up. As we get more into 6 a.m., really going to be those whites showing up. And what that means, I know it's a different legend that we're looking at. What that means, though, is a lift is not going to be as prominent as the night goes on. So I think the time of day is a benefit to us because it's not going to have as much of that unstable air as what an afternoon forecast would look like. So that's one of the positives that we have with this forecast. And really that main line will eat up any of that energy here in North Mississippi. So anything that builds on the backside, I don't think severe, but I do think that potential for a few more rumbles are possible. But again, I'm not overly sold on those higher impact events. That would probably be that main line that we're watching. And triple threat highlights exactly that. As we get more into our Friday forecast, you can see how it remains pretty calm here in North Mississippi throughout our Friday. And as we work our way into our Saturday morning, there's a little bit of showers that are working their way through North Mississippi. Don't have any rotation, don't have any wind, and don't have any hail. So we're not worried about anything whenever it comes to our triple threat on our Saturday morning. As we get more towards the afternoon, again, not going to be tracking much of anything for at least the start of the afternoon. And a large part of that thunderstorm activity primarily going to be up there across the Tennessee state line, building more towards the Jackson, Tennessee area. Then we get into our forecast, and that's going to be Sunday night into our Sunday morning, and that's going to be midnight. You do get some of these rotation tracks, but reason why I'm not overly concerned about this is because, if anything, I think small hail could be a producer with this, but in regards to tornadic development, this isn't exactly the system that we'd see with that. I would expect that to remain further towards our south, along with those more significant impacts from these storms. So that level 1 threat that's in place right now, I do expect that to encompass a large portion of central and south Mississippi. North Mississippi still has some questions because, again, if you're looking at our triple threat, we only have a few of those stripes out there, those helicity strikes out there towards the Delta, and that's it. And those helicity strikes are not overly impressive compared to what they're seeing out in Texas. And if we do get anything, it could be penny-sized hail, nickel-sized hail at most. And as that second round works its way through Sunday night into our Monday morning, again, a few rumbles possible, but no severe weather is expected. So that's a positive with this forecast. And again, one we'll definitely take as we get into this extended pattern. So next 7 days, it's going to be a stormy weekend, but those storm chances have been pushed more towards Sunday, as we can see that 30 to 70% distribution throughout the entirety of our weekend. Once those clear out, Monday throughout the week is looking much drier. A lot of warm air also building in. So honestly, next week shaping up to be a good one. And we had a taste of spring this week. Next week is going to be the full course meal of spring. And we're still in winter. It's just going to feel that good with lows in the mid 50s and highs all the way into the mid 70s. But tonight, jackets are still needed. Our chief meteorologist, Matt Laupon, he is out in Amory for the debut of the Amory softball and baseball stadium. He joins us live after the break with more on what's going on out there and a little bit more of a look at that forecast.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.
Well, we've been down on the field here at Amory. Again, the new facility is opening to the public today for both baseball and softball. There are not a lot of stadiums here in this state that could compare with the facilities that they have here. It's very well thought out. Talking to the architects, one of the things that you will not notice in this picture, because it just my camera's not going to do it justice, is kind of looking towards some of these lights, like you see. Well, assuming you think for a guy that points to living, you point right to it. It just kind of looks like a blob there. But in person, I'll have to take a picture and see if we can get it. Specifically, they had to take some batting practice earlier this week to tune the lights so that they're intentionally directed a certain way so that they're out of the line of sight of people actually on the field. The fact that there's that kind of ability on this is just incredible. I got to show you here again, completely separate facilities for both the softball and baseball. And just check out this indoor workout facility here. Hold on a second here. No, you're not gonna run off on me yet. AirPods go there. iPhone. There. So, what do y'all think of this? I mean, this is the fact that this is just y'all's,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
It's like this entire weight facility is just for baseball.
Yes, sir.
Is that mind blowing?
Amazing. It's just absolutely out of this world.
So, I mean, what is your favorite? I mean, you haven't played game here yet. You've done a little bit of practice. What's the thing you're most excited about?
Honestly, the weight room, just getting in there, gaining weight, you know what I'm saying? Iron, get the boys.
Get ready to go. So again, excited for the way this facility here is, come into play. Again, a big investment from the community that's going to be here, hopefully for a long time. They have training rooms. I mean, everything you could imagine. Obviously, the 2023 tornado was awful in so many ways, and people still recovering. But it's just so exciting to see the way that, at least in the case of this facility, the softball facility and the football field, things start feeling a lot more like normal and certainly are pretty awesome. Anyway, Gabe, I'm gonna send it back to you again. I talked about lighting here. You're talking about lightning on this Severe Weather Awareness Week, right?
Exactly. Matt, love the segue there. Lighting to lightning. And yes, an electric stadium out there in Amory. And that's exactly what we're talking about today here in the Room to Room Weather Center is the electric part of the forecast. Not necessarily a severe element, but still an impactful element. It takes nearly 20 lives nationwide, and that is lightning. And strikes happen, a lot of them, millions across the United States each year. And it happens exactly like this. Setup, warm air rising, producing the storm clouds. We need storms in order for lightning to take place. It has to have that source, right? Well, that's what's potentially happening this weekend as that line works its way on through. And as it does produce those storm clouds, it then starts to have those ice particles and water droplets colliding inside the cloud. That, of course, creates a little bit of that electricity, and we get those positive and negatively charged not ions. Oh man, my wife is going to be upset with me if I don't get this. But basically these positive and negatively electrically charged particles, and these basically are going to be all throughout the cloud. But whenever this happens, they start to basically divide. We get the positive charged particles up on the top end of the cloud and the negatively charged particles back at the cloud base. And so where that is, we have positive charges there at the surface and negative charges there at the base. Well, it makes sense why we get cloud-to-ground lightning. You get that negative to positive interaction, and even the cloud-to-cloud lightning, that's that positive and negative interaction as well happening within the cloud. So all of which are possible this weekend, but all of that can be impactful, and I've seen many times where we're talking about lightning striking a tree, causing a fire. And with how dry things have been, I wouldn't be shocked at all if that happens, if some of these lightning strikes get all the way to the surface. Curious. I wanted to see if that was her reaching out. I'm sure I'll hear about it after the show because she will be letting me know what the actual factual information is. But those negative charges meet those positive charges there at the surface, and that's where we get that cloud to ground strike. But here you're getting a look. That ground is a positively charged area, but we also get positive charges that reach the top of the clouds, like we were talking about just a moment ago. If there's anything negatively charged there at the surface, then we do get what is called a positive strike, and that reaches from the top of the cloud all the way to the surface, but an extreme amount of energy is attached to a strike of that format. And so whenever we deal with that, it has an extreme amount of energy, and so that's where it can become even more dangerous, and it can happen miles away from the base of the storm. And so that's where electrons, okay, My mom-in-law let me know electrons, not particles. It's been a while since I've been in science. I apologize. And I married a science teacher whose mom was a science teacher, whose granny is a science teacher. So I'm filled with science. What can I say? So I knew I could ask the source and they would provide. All right, so these positive charges reaching their way all the way to the surface, this is where, it could be life-threatening because those charges reaching the surface from way high up in the cloud takes a lot of energy, and if all that energy goes into someone's body, it's just not exactly what you'd want to happen. But there are preventative ways that we can go about our life that keeps us out of the way of some of these electric areas, and that is starting with your water safety. Staying out of water, away from wet objects, will keep that electric current from spreading within that body of water because water helps that electricity spread. That's why we say don't go in the ocean when there's a thunderstorm, because even if a strike happens miles away, you can still feel the effects of it there at the shore. So encourage it there. We encourage it here at the lakes, at pools, anything of that matter as we get into some of this more severe weather season. As we take a look more at some of those higher areas that talking about maybe field goal post or, hey, some of the foul ball areas where it has the fences across the stadium, that's where it could have some of those elevated areas where lightning, if it were to try and strike the surface, it looks for those positive areas that are higher elevation because it's a less of a path that it has to travel. And that's why we encourage you to stay away from those higher elevated areas, including trees, field goal posts, some of those lights there. I know that's at the stadium as well. So some of those applicable ways to stay safe, and we definitely want you guys to do exactly that. And as we talk about lightning safety, there's a phrase that we commonly use: when thunder roars, go indoors, and indoors is where you can stay away from those lightning strikes and not be struck by any and potentially put your life or have that life-threatening situation. Lightning can strike miles away from the parent storm, like we were talking about with these positive leaders, all the way down there towards the negatively charged particles at the surface. It can happen miles away, so just because it looks like a thunderstorm there in the distance doesn't mean you're not out of the woods. Could definitely reach further away. And with lightning safety, it is very hot. We talked about a lot of energy. Well, it's actually hotter than the sun at nearly 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's why we say, when thunder roars, go indoors. Simply put, that's going to make you definitely put at ease whenever lightning is possible. Lightning is possible this weekend, so when you hear that thunder, you know what to do. All right, where lightning is not exactly welcome, baseball. And we do have our baseball forecast this weekend. Ole Miss taking on Nevada this weekend. Looking like a better forecast for Friday. So we are excited to get out there and see the Ole Miss Rebels start their baseball season. Our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will be at the game live in the stadium, telling us a little bit about the energy there at the stadium, a little bit about the forecast as well. So excited to get some of the Mississippi Live spread out across the North Mississippi area, and for opening weekend of baseball, what better weekend to do it? And as we take a look there at State will be hosting Hofstra. And again, Friday's forecast not looking too shabby. Our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will be there as well, telling us the latest on the Diamond Dogs and how they're looking to go about this season, but also giving us a little bit of the forecast and the energy inside the stadium. Rainfall is possible Saturday and Sunday for both of these locations, so prepare accordingly. I want you guys to stay dry, but you will definitely be staying warm with temperatures in the low 70s. And a big thank you to the folks there at Carl Hogan for providing us a look at the forecast as we go about the opening weekend of college baseball. So excited to bring that to you guys. That'll be happening Friday evening, doing a little bit of those live shots. And we'll have full team coverage, so everyone on board as we get these baseball games going. And yes, Matt or I, probably me, on Friday night will be at our high school game of the week. And a big breakthrough of what happened on the high school game of the week, there's a team. That's right, the Myrtle girls are advancing to the next round. I believe it is the division. Oh, Ethan, I need your help on this. The Division 2A District 2 Championship. And that is either going to be between Bruce or East Union. Bruce and East Union playing tonight, and whoever wins out of that will be the one playing Myrtle. But we do have one team officially in that matchup. And a big thank you to the folks at Casey Lawton for providing us this forecast and all of those highlights that will be able to be viewed at 10 p.m. on your Friday night. Our Ethan Foster joining us. He's going to be having a little bit of that highlight on that matchup as both teams looking to continue their postseason success, and also giving us those highlights, everything you need to see at 10 o'clock that night. So Fridays, gotta love it, right? End of the week, ending on a high note, and we're doing exactly that here at Mississippi Live. So we hope that you're going to be there to join us, and the best way to do so is going ahead and having that Mississippi Live weather app, free and available on iOS and Android, and it also has our live shows, and I've been talking about them all night long. We have one at 10 o'clock tonight, previewing what's ahead for our Friday. But then Maggie will join you guys bright and early, 6:30, 7, and 7:30. And me, Maggie, Caleb, and Matt, and Ethan will all be live on your Friday evening at 5, 6, and 10 with full team coverage from all the sporting events across North Mississippi. You do not want to miss it. We're excited to bring that to you, and we'll keep you updated ahead of time of who that matchup will be for our high school game of the week. Nonetheless, go ahead and download that app. We'll keep you all in the know. We thank you guys for joining us tonight. We hope you guys do enjoy the dry and mild forecast. Go ahead and get those Thursday plans done and get ready for a fantastic Friday ahead.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.